The very moment you slide your foot into a pointed, narrow shoe, your osteoclasts, the specialized cells designed to dissolve bone tissue, receive an urgent biological signal to start dismantling the structural integrity of your toe joints. This is not a gradual wear and tear process that takes decades to manifest. It is an active cellular defense mechanism that begins within minutes of compression. Your body, in its infinite adaptive wisdom, perceives the restrictive walls of your footwear as an environmental threat and immediately begins sacrificing the shape of your skeleton to protect your blood vessels and nerves from being crushed. You are quite literally reshaping your skeleton from the ground up, one step at a time. What you are about to discover is the elegant, hidden process of mechanotransduction, the magical biological interface where physical pressure is translated directly into cellular instructions. Today, we are going into the microscopic world beneath your skin to understand how this constant structural squeezing triggers a cascading remodeling of your bones, rewires the electrical signaling of your nervous system, and alters the fluid dynamics of your entire lower body. Think back to the last time you spent an entire day walking in tight, narrow shoes. Do you remember that exquisite, almost intoxicating wave of relief that washed over your entire body the moment you kicked them off? That intense sensation is not just a psychological release. It is a sudden, massive surge of oxygenated blood rushing back into microscopic capillaries that have been squeezed shut for hours. It is the sound of your nervous system sighing in relief as thousands of compressed sensory receptors are suddenly freed from a physical vice. To understand why this happens, we must first appreciate the absolute masterpiece of engineering that is the human foot. Your 2 feet contain a staggering 52 bones, which represents roughly 1/4 of all the bones in your entire body. These bones are held together by 33 complex joints and animated by over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Why did evolution dedicate so much skeletal real estate to your base of support? Because your foot is designed to be a highly dynamic, adaptable sensory organ. When you walk barefoot on natural terrain, your toes splay outward to distribute your body weight evenly. This natural splay acts like a beautiful suspension bridge. The arch of your foot flattens slightly to absorb the impact of your step, storing kinetic energy, and then spring-loads that energy to propel you forward. But when we cram this dynamic masterpiece into a shoe with a narrow, pointed toe box, we completely alter the physics of human movement. In a seminal study conducted by Dr. Cherie Dawout in 2009, researchers compared the feet of habitually barefoot populations with those of shoe-wearing populations. The findings were clear. Habitual shoe wearers had significantly narrower feet, reduced toe flexibility, and elevated peak pressures under the metatarsal bones during walking. The shoe, quite literally, acts as a physical mold, slowly forces the living tissue to conform to its synthetic silhouette. When you restrict the natural movement of these 26 bones, the consequences ripple upward. Think of your foot as a set of foundational building blocks. If the bottom block is tilted or squeezed, every single block above it, your ankle, your knee, your hip, and your spine, must micro-adjust its position to keep you upright. Have you ever wondered why your lower back feels stiff after a long walk, even though you did not use your back muscles? It is because your restricted feet could not absorb the shock of the pavement, forcing your lower spine to take the beating instead. Now, let us zoom in closer, passing through the layers of skin and fascia directly into the matrix of your bone tissue. This is where the biological drama reaches its peak. Inside your bones, a constant, silent conversation is taking place between 2 primary cellular players, the osteoclasts, which dissolve old bone, and the osteoblasts, which lay down new mineralized bone matrix. Under normal conditions, these cells work in perfect harmony to keep your skeleton strong and flexible. But bones are piezoelectric materials. When bone tissue is bent, compressed, or strained, it generates tiny, microscopic electrical currents. Your bone cells read these electrical currents like a map, learning exactly where the skeleton is experiencing stress and where it is resting. This biological law is known as Wolff's Law. Bone will adapt to the loads under which it is placed. When you force your big toe to bend inward toward your second toe, a condition known as hallux valgus, you create a massive, unnatural concentration of mechanical stress on the outer edge of the first metatarsal joint. The piezoelectric signals in this localized area go absolutely wild. The osteoblasts, sensing this intense, concentrated pressure, rush to the site and begin laying down thick, dense layers of calcium to reinforce the bone against the threat of breaking. This is how a bunion is born. Yee! It is not a random growth, and it is not a disease. It is your body's brilliant, desperate attempt to build a biological buttress to support a joint that is being bent out of its natural alignment, while the osteoblasts are frantically building new bone on the outside of the joint to support the pressure. The osteoclasts are actively dissolving bone on the inside of the joint where the pressure has dropped to zero. Your skeleton is literally melting away in one spot and crystallizing in another, slowly restructuring your foot to fit the shape of your shoe. But the bone remodeling is only half the battle. Let us look at what is happening to your nerves. Running along the sides of each toe are the plantar digital nerves, which are responsible for sending critical sensory information about texture, balance, and temperature back to your brain. In a groundbreaking study published by Dr. Hilton Menz in 2005, researchers documented a direct link between narrow, high-heeled footwear and the development of Morton's neuroma. This is a painful condition where the nerve sheath between your third and fourth toes becomes chronically compressed, leading to the buildup of thick, fibrous scar tissue. Imagine these nerves as delicate fiber optic cables carrying high-speed data. When your shoes squeeze your metatarsal bones together, these cables are pinched. At first, you might only feel a subtle numbness, a slight tingling, or a sensation like you are walking on a folded sock. But biologically, your body is screaming. The lack of space starves the nerve of oxygen, triggering a localized inflammatory response. Over time, the nerve tries to protect itself by growing a thick, defensive wall of scar tissue. But this scar tissue only makes the nerve wider, leading to even more compression, more pain, and eventually a complete disruption of the sensory feedback loop between your feet and your brain. Your skeleton is redesigning itself. When you lose sensory connection with the soles of your feet, your brain loses its primary map of the ground. It can no longer tell exactly how hard you are stepping or what angle your ankle is at. To prevent you from falling over, your brain has to guess. It tightens your calves, stiffens your thigh muscles, and locks up your pelvis to create an artificial, rigid stability. You walk not with the fluid grace of an animal, but with the stiff, jarring gait of a biological machine whose sensors have been taped over. Let us also look at your circulatory system. Your foot contains a complex network of veins called the plantar venous plexus. Every single time your heel strikes the ground and your toes splay, this network of veins is physically compressed by your muscles and tendons. This action acts as a powerful built-in hydraulic pump that propels oxygen-depleted blood back up your legs, working against gravity to return it to your heart. When your foot is locked in a rigid, pointed shoe, this natural pump is completely disabled. The muscles cannot contract fully, the joints cannot flex, and the blood begins to pool in your lower limbs. This is why your feet feel swollen, heavy, and cold after hours of sitting or walking in restrictive shoes. You have essentially turned off the auxiliary pump of your cardiovascular system. So, how do we stop this silent internal battle? How do we give our feet the space they need to heal, to remodel back into their natural, powerful state without completely giving up on modern life? The answer is not to throw away all your shoes and live barefoot in the forest, though your feet might love that. The key is to introduce deliberate, biologically targeted habits that reverse the daily damage. First, you must implement the daily splay test and introduce toe restoration. When you take your shoes off at the end of the day, do not just sit down. Take a moment to actively spread your toes as wide as you possibly can. Can you see spaces of daylight between each and every toe? If your toes remain stuck together, your muscles have adapted to the restriction. To combat this, spend 10 minutes every evening wearing simple, soft silicone toe separators while you read or relax. This gentle, passive stretch opposes the inward collapse of the metatarsals, relieves the pressure on the plantar digital nerves, and allows the compressed capillaries to flood with fresh, nutrient-rich blood. This simple practice sends a clear signal to your osteoclasts to stop dissolving the inner bone and allows your joints to slowly find their natural home again. Second, you need to awaken your dormant sensory receptors through proprioceptive barefoot grounding. Your nervous system is incredibly plastic. It can recover its mapping if you give it the right data. Spend 15 minutes every afternoon walking barefoot on a varied, natural surface. This could be the grass in your backyard, dry sand at the beach, or even a specialized pebble mat in your hallway. The uneven pressure of the stones or grass forces your 33 joints to move through their entire three-dimensional range of motion. It stimulates the thousands of mechanoreceptors on the soles of your feet, instantly lowering your body's systemic stress response and retraining your brain to trust your feet for stability. Third, practice the active flexion extension pump before you put your shoes on and immediately after you take them off. Sit comfortably. Lift one foot and use your hand to gently weave your fingers between your toes. Once your fingers are woven between your toes, slowly circle your ankle 10 times in each direction, then actively flex and extend your toes. This movement physically pumps the pooled venous blood out of the deep plantar tissues and back into circulation. It stretches the tight plantar fascia and lubricates the joint capsules with fresh synovial fluid, preparing your feet to withstand the physical stress of the day or helping them recover from it. When you look down at your feet tomorrow morning, I want you to see them through a completely different biological lens. They are not just passive platforms that you stuff into leather and synthetic fabric to match an outfit. They are a living, breathing, incredibly sophisticated interface between your body and the planet. Every single step you take is a physical conversation between your footwear and your skeleton. When you choose shoes with a wide, foot-shaped toe box, flat soles, and flexible materials, you are choosing to let your skeleton exist in its natural alignment. You are choosing to let your blood flow freely, your nerves fire cleanly, and your bones remain strong and beautifully spaced. You have the power to stop the silent battle raging inside your shoes. By giving your feet the freedom to move, you are reclaiming the foundation of your entire physical health. Keep exploring the remarkable hidden biology of your daily life. There is an entire world of fascinating cellular activity happening inside you every single second, waiting to be decoded. Until next time, stay curious and listen to the silent wisdom of your body.